The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.
Hi everyone and welcome to Mini Church. Now, during this time, we're starting to look towards Christmas, and it's a time called Advent. Now, how many of you have got an Advent calendar? I know mine's already waiting to be opened to see what's behind each of those doors, and it's very exciting. But as a Christian and churches, we also celebrate Advent, and we celebrate it through the lighting of candles. So all the weeks leading up to Christmas, every Sunday, we light a different candle, and each of those candles has a different meaning. So why don't we have a look at an Advent ring and we can see exactly what is important about each part. Let's have a look now. So this is what an Advent ring in church looks a bit like. Can you see there are 5 candles, 4 red ones and a white one in the middle. Each candle helps us to think about certain things in the Bible that lead us up to Christmas. But can you see what shape the wreath is? It's a circle, and this is because it has no beginning or end. This is to remind us that God's love goes on forever and ever, and it's made from evergreen leaves. Think of holly or ivy or even our Christmas tree. They are called evergreens. Because evergreen leaves do not die in the way other leaves do, this reminds us that Jesus' love never dies, so he continues to love us. Now, each week during Advent, we are going to look at what each of the candle means. Now, each week during Advent, we're going to be looking at what each of the candles symbolises and what it means. And the first candle that we light is hope. Well, what is hope? Hope is waiting for something good to happen. It's knowing that in the future things will get better. Think of waking up on Christmas morning and knowing that there are presents waiting for you to unwrap them. The excitement of something that's going to be happening in the future. Now, a long time ago in the Bible, before Jesus was born, there was a man called Isaiah. Meet Isaiah. He talked about God and something that was going to happen in the future. He wrote, "Therefore, the Father himself will give you a sign. A woman will give birth to a son, and he will be called Emmanuel." Emmanuel means God with us. So Isaiah knew that the promise that God had given him was a hope for all of us. So when we light this candle, we do it to remember all of those who told of the hope that Jesus would bring when he was born. Not just in the biblical days, but now as well. Every day can be like Christmas morning for Christians who realise that the best is yet to come. This kind of hope asks questions like, what new adventures does God have for me today? So, when we light that first candle, think about Isaiah. Think of the hope and the promise that his words gave to the Christians back then, but actually to us now. So let us finish with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for the hope that Christmas brings us. And as we look forward to opening presents, that the real meaning of Christmas is not forgotten. Amen. So, for this week's craft, we are going to make our own Advent wreath. And for this, you are going to need tissue paper, card, sellotape, glue, and scissors. You're going to get your red card and you're going to cut it in half. You are then going to roll it and using the glue or the sellotape, create a tube. Repeat the process until you have 4 red candles, and then you're going to do exactly the same with the white card, but if you can make it a bit longer, do so. Roll it up and it's all ready, and then on each of them you can then write each meaning. So peace, hope, joy, love, with Jesus being the white candle in the middle. You're then going to cut out flame shapes, and with a pen you can then colour them in and stick them onto the tubes. Do that with all of them, so you have 4 red and 1 white candle. Then you're going to cut gently the bottom of each candle so that it flares out and it makes it easier to stick it down. using sellotape, which is easier, actually stick them all down. So again, you've got 4 red ones in a sort of a semicircle with the Jesus one in the middle. Then using your tissue paper, you're going to start winding that round to create the wreath. So once that's done, it will have your own wreath to be able to look at. Thank you very much, guys, and we will see you soon. Bye.
The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun, and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.